Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. So before we jump into Meta stock, which I have very key information to share with you guys in the technical front, if you look at the SPY, this is a very critical week for the markets with on 20th and 21st Federal Reserve meetings happening, and that could decide where the price is headed with the interest rate hikes of 75 basis points is going to happen or not. So it is a very key week, and we have seen there is a lot of pricing in happening in this week with 5% drops in SPY, expecting that there is going to be a rate hike. And so if any of that turns either ways, there will be a lot of volatility going ahead. So the key thing that I would want to discuss with Meta is that this is not looking good for the bulls in the Meta stock. Either ways where the market goes, while Meta does follow the market heavily, this indication to the downside is very huge, especially on the weekly if you see. So first thing I want to point out is the company has faced so many challenges in terms of its advertisement business and scrutiny from antitrust regulators. Not only that, there has been a lot of skepticism from investors with the company burning billions of dollars in the metaverse efforts, which is still in the experimentation phase. But the strong bulls still believe that the Meta has the first mover advantage in the niche of VR market, and all of this billions burnt will amount to more value in the future for the company. With all this aside, the company is still trading at 15 times forward earnings, which makes it the cheapest FANG stocks by a large margin, but it has to overcome all these near-term problems so that it will still provide a good opportunity for us to buy into. Many analysts believe that it could double easily from these current lows, but again, these technical levels breaking is very bad news for the longs, and finding a bottom right away at some point is also kind of not something smart from any investment standpoint, right? You want to wait for some key technicals to form for you to make that decision. Let me show you the range that I talk about that has broken here. So if you draw a parallel lines of range, we have been consistently trading between 185 to 155 in the past few months, right? This range has been never broken. This every time the stock was touching the 155 mark, it was always being bought back up to 185, sold back down. This range of to and fro motion is now broken to the downside. When the stocks breaks to the upside, that's when you call like you're trying to make newer highs. Here you're making newer lows, especially in the past few years. We have not touched these lows since the COVID lows here. If you see here, the reason for this panic moment would be this area. When we reach around 136, which was the lows of COVID times, we can clearly see all these buyers whoever have bought into the stock around these lows are now going to be a little bit scared as the stock moves closer to that level. And this break, if it breaks around 136, again the next support is at $120. So this would be your next support moving forward if that breaks. The reason I believe that even 135 could be broken is because of this trading range. So usually whenever the break happens, the target would be at least a one more percentage, like 100% of this range being formed to the downside, or even more. If you see exactly, the 120 would be your range target. So whoever is short here around this breakdown would usually want to target at least 1:1 for their risk around to $185. One more key bearish signal I find here is that this EMA crossover here on the weekly, the green trend line here is the 50 EMA, and the white EMA here, white trend line here is the 200 EMA, which are very key technical indicators in the long term, especially for long term investors. This crossover, you usually use the crossovers for trading when the crossover of short term goes above and the long term comes below. You usually take the long, and the opposite of it is short. Here the short term has gone down and the long term is above, so which suggests that there is a trend of there is a downtrend, which we can clearly see. But these kind of technical indicators are also very crucial if you are long-term investor on the long-term scale. So I just wanted to point that out as well as I noticed this. Let's just go into the daily chart and figure out what are some key levels in terms of near-term price action. So one key thing is that we have spoken this breakdown both on daily and the weekly. We can clearly see on the weekly we have broken down. It doesn't mean that the stock may never bounce a little bit closer to these breakout zones. We usually say, let me just draw something, right? So we usually consider after a breakout, you can expect a retest of that zone where new shorts can add on or the previous buyers can sell out. So that could still happen, or even we can move a little bit above, taking that this as a false breakdown, which can again be a very bullish sign, which I don't see that happening because of the clear signal to the downside on the weekly. But even if something like that happens, anytime if there is a new lower high, the bears will take it as an opportunity to sell short or take puts in that direction of the trade again. So the key technical levels again being this previous support zone of $155, and one more I see here, if I draw a trend line, this level which has acted as a key resistance multiple times after it had broken down around at $171, $172 as a key pivot, which we have seen multiple times here being tested. The double bottom here, one and two, and that double bottom breaking to the downside. And yeah, so these are going to be your key levels. And even also if you see here, even on the hourly, the $150 again is a key technical level which was broken. That has caused all this panic to the downside, and we were trading around $149, $150 mark, trying to push it higher, but it was not possible, and the stock kept on dropping down, and we are still trending downwards, at least for the recent time. I don't want to take any long positions as long as this holds this violent down move where I don't even see any breakout from. Okay, so you would want to wait for that, either if you want to cover your shorts or maybe like take new short positions. These are going to be new highs where you can try to take those, or maybe cover them when there is a trend change can happen. Again, all this is not any investment advice. These are all just my honest opinions for informational purposes. Okay, so if you're new to this channel, please subscribe, like and share this video if you have found this helpful. Thanks for watching. Take care.